Hi, welcome to my channel, and today we'll be learning how to sew this beautiful three-tiered Ankara with an elastic band. So if this looks like what you're interested in, dive into my video. So you'll be needing first off your lining, and I have less than a yard, and also 3 different prints of any material of your choice. With me, I have my Ankara print. I have the purple one, which was less than a yard, and this blue one and the red one. I didn't even use all of them. I just had to cut off the part that I'll be needing for the video. You'll also be needing an elastic band of any inches of your choice. I have 2 inches here. I like working with 2 inches, but you can use 1 inch, 1.5 inch, or 2 inches, depending on what you have. Also, you'll be needing your lining. So to get the measurement to cut out for your lining, you get your hip measurements plus extra 17 to 20 inches, depending on how full you want it. Do you get? So now I have 40 inches. 40 inches is the hip measurement that I'm working with, and I went ahead to add extra 17 inches because we'll still use the elastic to bring everything together to your actual waist measurement. So for the width of the skirt is the length of your skirt. So I used 18 inches. So go ahead and measure where you want your skirt to stop. Any measurement you get, that will serve as the width of your skirt. After I've gotten the width of your skirt, I went ahead to mark my starting line, and on that starting line I removed 2 inches because the skirt has a band. So the band will replace it, and you still get your actual length. After I removed the 2 inches, I went ahead to get my measurement of 18 inches. I marked the 18 inches, and on that 18 inches line, I will minus 6 inches from my actual length. The Ankara will make up for the 6 inches that will minus. So I marked that 6 inches and I will rule it. If you're still watching up until now, please subscribe so that YouTube will push my videos to more soulmates. So after I've gotten the 6 inches and I ruled it, I'll go ahead to cut it off. I'll cut off the excess that we had, and on the top I'll still cut the extra excess so that we'll know what we are working with and we don't get confused, because I'm trying to make the video beginner friendly as possible. So this is the skeleton we'll be working with. Our first Ankara will be placed on the top, the second one will be on the middle, and the third one will be at the tip. So this is just the skeleton for our skirts. In order to get the measurements that we'll be needing to place the Ankara on the lining, we'll first of all remove the 2 inches for the band and get the middle. So we need to get the middle point. So in order to get the middle point, we'll have to get 10, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So on the 5 is our middle point. I'll go ahead to rule the line across. So on this second line, like on the line on the middle, that is where our second step of Ankara will be sewn. So we'll have to keep the skeleton aside and work on our Ankara print. To get the measurements for the Ankara, we'll divide 18 by 3, and when you divide 18 by 3, you'll be left with 6 inches. So each of the Ankara prints will cut out 6 inches. But before we cut out the 6 inches, we'll have to add extra 2 inches, making it 8 inches. We use 1 inch for the folding and 1 inch to add to the skeleton of the skirts. Do you understand? We'll add 2 inches, 1 for the hemming and 1 for the joining of the Ankara. So this is the Ankara print after I've gone ahead to cut out the 8 inches that we'll need for the joining. So what I will do now is I will go over to the sewing machine and hem the tip of the dress. I will run a gather stitch on the other tip of the material, and I'll hem the other tip. After I'm done with this piece, I will do the same thing to the other pieces that we have. So now I've hemmed the tip, I've folded the tip, and also ran a double gather stitch on the fabric. So for us to get our gathers, we need to separate the two threads that we'll have after we run the gather stitch, and we'll drag it gently. One look, if you look carefully, you see how I separated the thread. We'll have to drag it gently, because if you drag it too hard, it will cut, and you need to, once your thread cuts, you have to run another gather stitch, and I don't think that is what we want to do. So we'll drag it gently till we get the actual measurement for our skirt. Remember that the measurement that we had for our skirt was our hip measurement plus 17 or 20 inches, depending on the measurement that you have. So after we've gotten the measurement, we'll get our skeleton. This is how we are going to sew it. We'll place it on the skeleton, and we'll run a stitch across the first line. And after that, you bring your second Ankara print and place on the middle line, and also introduce the third one and place it on the top of the skeleton. At the end of the day, we'll have something like this. So I'll go over to my sewing machine and I'll do the exact thing that I just said. So I'm done joining our materials together. This is the first step, the second step, and the third step, and everything is looking so fine. Everything is coming together. Our skirt is almost ready. So if you did exactly what I said, this is the result to be coming out with. So to close up our skirt, we'll bring each ends together like so. We'll match it together. One of the end, we'll bring them together, and we'll run a stitch across the ends of the material. So I've gone ahead to join the sides together, and this is what we'll have. Our skirt is looking so fine. Everything is coming out together, and I'm so excited. So this is the waist of the skirt. This is the waist. So to cut out our elastic band, because remember we used the elastic to bring everything together. So to know the measurements that of the elastic that will be cutting out, you need to measure the waist of the skirt. So you place your tape like this and you measure it around the skirt. Be careful, measure it gently, small, and don't drag your measuring tape as you're measuring, so that you don't make mistake. So when you are done measuring, be gentle when measuring. So after my measurements, after measuring the waist, I had up to 56 inches, which is okay because the elastic will bring everything together. So go ahead and measure yours. Whatever you have, that is whatever you have is what you will use to cut out the band of your skirt. So we'll introduce our elastic. So how to get to elastic? You take your actual waist measurement. So I had 34 waist measurements, and I'll go ahead to minus 4 inches. So you can minus 6, you can minus 4. But for this skirt, I'll minus 4 inches. So 34 minus 4 inches is 30 inches. I'm gonna have to cut out the material that we'll be needing for the elastic band. So with me here, I have 2.5 inches on fold, and when you open it up, it is 5 inches. And for the length of the band, remember when we measured the skirt, we had 56 inches. So I cut the exact 56 inches plus 1 inch. That's 57 for the seam allowance. So I'll go over. So we'll go ahead to stitch our material for the elastic. So you bring the two ends like this, and you run a stitch across it. Then you do the same on the elastic band. Run a stitch across it, and you top stitch. So this is what we'll have after I've run a stitch on the material and also run a stitch and top stitch the elastic. So watch carefully how we are going to sew the elastic band, because this part can be very confusing. So you bring your material and you put your elastic in between your materials, just like this. You put it, and as you are sewing, you'll be stretching it. Arrange everything properly so it doesn't give you hard time when sewing. So you arrange it like this, make it sit well, and you run a stitch around everything. You just run a stitch close to the elastic. Make sure you don't sew on the elastic, very close to the elastic, and I'll show you what we'll have after I've done that. Watch carefully how I'm sewing the elastic, because this part is very confusing. As you are sewing it, you are stretching it. As you are sewing, you'll be dragging it like this, so that everything don't just jam pack and it will not be stretchy. If you don't stretch it while sewing, everything will come together, and that is not the result that we are after. After I was done sewing, this is what we have. Very neat. Our elastic band is very clean, so at this point it is ready to be attached to the skirt. So now we'll introduce the skirt and we are going to attach the band to the skirt. So watch carefully how I'm going to attach the band to the skirt. You place it front side to front side and we'll run a stitch. As you are sewing it, you'll be dragging it. As you are sewing it, you'll be dragging it, and we'll do it round the skirt. And after that, I'll show us what we have. Our skirt is actually coming together and I cannot wait to show you guys. Now this is our skirt. Jesus, everything is so fine, everything is looking so neat, and I'm glad that we are here. So take a look at our skirts. Everything is very fine, and this is the result. So if you have an interlock machine or a weaving machine, you have to go ahead to weave the edges and the band so that your skirt will be neat. So if you enjoy watching this video, please subscribe, comment and share, and also turn on the post notification so you get notified when we post another video. Bye.